Today, we're going to explore a topic that unfortunately affects many people in their daily lives: manipulation. This form of negative social influence demonstrates how individuals or groups use subtle strategies to gain control and advantages over others. Manipulation can occur in various aspects of life, including work, personal relationships, or within larger social circles. Therefore, understanding and reflecting on these strategies is not only a means to protect one's autonomy but also to foster healthier and more transparent relationships. It is crucial to learn to defend oneself, and for that purpose, we will delve into some of the most impactful manipulation tactics. Remember, knowledge is neutral, its use depends on the individual. Thus, these tactics are discussed here for you to learn how to shield yourself from them, not to employ them against others. This knowledge is akin to a tool that can be used to create something magnificent or to cause harm. Therefore, apply the insights from this video responsibly, whether for self-protection or personal growth. We'll explore how manipulation stealthily infiltrates our lives, often without our awareness. By demystifying these techniques, we aim not only to identify them but also to equip ourselves with the tools needed to combat them. By the end, you'll feel more prepared to face the world with a critical eye and a vigilant mind. Here, we delve into the darker aspects of manipulation. Before we begin, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It greatly supports us and comes at no cost to you. Let's dive in. Firstly, triangulation. This is a subtle yet potent manipulation tactic involving the introduction of a third party into a relationship to create division, tension, or confusion. The manipulator uses this third party as a tool to exert control, destabilize the existing relationship, or deflect attention from their own questionable actions. In triangulation, the manipulator may pit one person against another, sharing distorted or confidential information between them or using the third party to validate their own opinions and feelings while discrediting the other party. This can lead victims to question their perceptions and feelings, isolating them and making them more reliant on the manipulator. For instance, in a family setting, a parent might speak negatively about one child to another, creating an alliance with the second child and leaving the first feeling isolated and insecure. In a workplace scenario, a manager might share negative information about one employee with another, fostering rivalry and distrust between them. Triangulation is especially harmful because it undermines trust and direct communication between the affected parties, allowing the manipulator to maintain control and evade responsibility for conflicts or misunderstandings. Victims of this tactic often find themselves in a cycle of confusion and conflict without fully grasping the manipulator's role or the source of these issues. Counteracting triangulation requires recognizing the tactic, fostering open and honest communication among those being manipulated, and maintaining strong personal boundaries. It is crucial to question the accuracy of the information received, seek clarification directly from the other parties involved, and decline to engage in conversations or actions that promote division or mistrust. Number 2, double bind. This is a form of psychological manipulation where a person is presented with two contradictory choices or conflicting messages, ensuring that whichever option they choose, they will be wrong or disadvantaged. The goal is to confuse and control the victim, leaving them feeling powerless, bewildered, and anxious since there is no correct or satisfactory way out. The manipulator may communicate conflicting expectations or demands. For instance, a parent might criticize a child for not being open and communicative, but when the child attempts to express their feelings, they are chastised for being disrespectful or overly sensitive. In this scenario, the child is placed in a double bind because either choice leads to criticism. Double binds can also occur in relationships where one person expresses a desire for more independence but then reacts negatively or withdraws when their partner seeks time alone. This manipulation leaves the victim feeling uncertain and insecure about how to behave, as all their actions seem to elicit a negative response. This tactic is particularly harmful as it undermines the victim's ability to trust their own judgment and perception. It can result in persistent self-doubt and diminished self-esteem, making the victim more reliant on the manipulator. To address a double bind, it is crucial to recognize it as a manipulation tactic rather than a reflection of one's incompetence. Seeking support from trusted individuals, counselors, or therapists can help validate the victim's feelings and perceptions. Additionally, establishing clear boundaries and assertive communication are essential to protect oneself from this type of manipulation. Number 3. Projection. Projection is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator attributes their own flaws, feelings, or inappropriate intentions to the victim. This occurs when the manipulator is unwilling or unable to acknowledge their own negative behaviors or shortcomings and instead projects them onto the other person, causing the victim to feel guilty or uncertain about their own actions or feelings. This defense mechanism distorts the victim's reality, leading them to doubt their own perceptions and feel responsible for problems or emotions that belong to the manipulator. For example, a jealous partner may accuse their significant other of being unfaithful or flirtatious when, in fact, it is the accuser who is experiencing these thoughts or behaviors. Projection enables the manipulator to divert attention from their own flaws and shift blame to the victim, often leaving the victim defensive, confused, or unjustly guilty. This can erode the victim's self-esteem and increase their emotional reliance on the manipulator. Confronting projection requires the victim to maintain a strong sense of their own reality and boundaries. It is crucial for the victim to recognize when they are being targeted by this tactic and not internalize the baseless accusations. Keeping a record of their thoughts and feelings, seeking feedback from trustworthy individuals, and practicing self-affirmation can help combat manipulation through projection. Additionally, it is essential for the victim to emotionally detach from the manipulator and set clear boundaries, refusing to accept responsibility for problems or emotions that are not their own. In severe cases, it may be necessary to sever ties or seek professional assistance to address the repercussions of this form of manipulation. Number 4. Time pressure. This is a manipulation tactic used to force the victim to make quick decisions, creating a false sense of urgency. The manipulator claims that action must be taken immediately to avoid negative consequences or that a unique opportunity is about to expire. This method exploits the fear of loss and anxiety, reducing the time the victim has to think, research, or consult other opinions. For example, this strategy is often used in high-pressure sales where the seller insists that an offer is for a limited time or that only a few items remain. However, it can also be found in personal and professional relationships, such as when someone demands an immediate response to a significant request or imposes an unrealistic deadline for an important decision. Under time pressure, the manipulated individual may end up making hasty decisions, often to their own detriment and to the benefit of the manipulator. The artificial urgency prevents the victim from evaluating all options, consulting third parties, or simply listening to their intuition. To combat this tactic, it is essential to recognize when someone is trying to manipulate time to influence your decision. It is important to ask for time to think, not to succumb to the pressure to act immediately, and to remember that few decisions genuinely require an instant response. Additionally, one should be aware that time pressure is a red flag for manipulation and that often, by waiting, additional information may emerge that will help make a more informed and balanced decision. Number 5. Inconsistency and unpredictability. This is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator acts erratically and unpredictably, causing confusion and insecurity in the victim. This behavior can range from extremes, such as being loving and attentive one moment and cold or disdainful the next, for no apparent reason. This pattern of behavior keeps the victim in a constant state of disorientation and anxiety, as they cannot predict or understand the actions of the manipulator. This tactic is often used in abusive relationships where the abuser alternates between kindness and cruelty to create an emotionally unstable environment. The victim, trying to understand the manipulator's behavior and yearning for approval or love, may find themselves trapped in a cycle of trying to please the manipulator, never achieving stability or satisfaction. Unpredictability is effective because it capitalizes on the human desire for consistency and stability. When a person's actions do not follow a logical or predictable pattern, it becomes difficult for others to adapt or respond appropriately, which can lead to a state of emotional and psychological dependence on the manipulator, who appears to be the only source of solution or relief. To deal with inconsistency and unpredictability, it is important for the victim to recognize the manipulator's pattern of behavior and understand that it is not their responsibility to constantly correct or adapt to please the other. It is vital to establish clear boundaries and maintain emotional distance from the manipulator. Additionally, seeking support from friends, family, or professionals can provide the perspective and support needed to deal with this form of manipulation and rebuild self-esteem and independence. Number 6. Emotional manipulation. This tactic involves exploiting someone's emotions to achieve a desired outcome. It often includes creating feelings of obligation, fear, guilt, or shame in the target, leading them to act against their own interests or values to satisfy the manipulator. Emotional manipulation thrives on the emotional connection between individuals, where the manipulator suggests, either directly or indirectly, that their well-being, happiness, or love depends on the victim's compliance, creating a situation where the victim feels responsible for the manipulator's emotional state. Examples include statements like, "If you really cared about me, you would do this," or "I can't believe you would leave me to deal with this alone." These statements not only impose a false sense of duty but also instill fear of loss or guilt for not meeting expectations. To counter emotional manipulation, it's crucial to recognize it, set and maintain clear boundaries, and communicate assertively. This means expressing your needs and feelings without letting fear, guilt, or obligation dictate your actions. Building self-esteem and seeking support from others, whether friends, family, or professionals, can also help you withstand the pressure and maintain your agency. Number 7. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of manipulation where the manipulator denies events or distorts facts to contradict the victim's memory, devalues the victim's feelings, or uses privileged information to discredit them. This leads the victim to doubt themselves and seek external validation. Gaslighting can occur in personal relationships, workplaces, or broader contexts like politics or the media. Its impact can be severe, leading to anxiety, depression, and a loss of trust in one's own perceptions and memories. To counter gaslighting, it's important to strengthen trust in yourself and your perceptions. This may include keeping a record of events, seeking external perspectives to validate reality, and setting firm boundaries with the manipulator. In serious cases, removing yourself from the toxic situation may be necessary. Recognizing and naming the experience is also empowering, as it diminishes the manipulator's control. Number 8. False consensus. This manipulation technique involves pretending or exaggerating the level of support, agreement, or approval from others to influence the victim. The manipulator may fabricate stories, distort facts, or create an illusion of consensus to convince the victim that a certain opinion, behavior, or product is more popular or acceptable than it actually is. This tactic exploits the human tendency to conform to group norms and seek social approval, especially in uncertain or socially pressured situations. By simulating broad acceptance or support, the manipulator can lead the victim to believe that by following a certain course of action, they are aligning with the majority and making the correct or popular choice. For example, in advertising, false consensus can be seen in testimonials from supposed satisfied customers that are not genuine, or in claims that a product is the bestseller without concrete evidence. In personal relationships, a manipulator may falsely claim that everyone agrees with them to pressure the victim to conform. To defend against false consensus, it's important to develop critical thinking skills and question the truthfulness of claims of popularity or acceptance. Seek concrete and reliable evidence before accepting claims of consensus, and maintain confidence in your own perceptions and judgments, even if it means going against the supposed majority. Recognizing and understanding this manipulation tactic can help you make more authentic choices and be less influenced by pressure to conform to fictitious or exaggerated social norms. Number 9. Information withholding. This is a manipulation tactic where one party purposefully keeps important or relevant information from another party to influence decisions or perceptions. This strategy can significantly alter the victim's understanding and behavior, leading them to make choices based on an incomplete or distorted view of reality. Information withholding can occur in various contexts, from personal relationships to business dealings and politics. For instance, in a relationship, a partner might hide details about their finances or past relationships, affecting trust and relationship dynamics. In the workplace, a colleague or manager might omit critical project details, hindering an employee's ability to work effectively or make informed decisions. In sales or negotiations, hiding product defects or unfavorable terms can deceive consumers or the other party. Defending against information withholding involves being aware of this tactic and adopting a questioning and investigative approach. It's important to verify information from multiple sources, ask thorough questions, and seek transparency in all interactions. Developing critical awareness and not accepting information blindly can help identify when important details are being withheld. Understanding that information withholding is a form of manipulation can make people more vigilant and less susceptible to making decisions based on incomplete or distorted information. Recognizing the value of open and honest communication is key to fostering more transparent and equitable relationships. Number 10. Fear-mongering. Manipulators using fear-mongering create a sense of urgency or threat, making the victim believe that dire consequences will occur if they do not comply. This can range from direct threats to subtle suggestions or the presentation of negative hypothetical scenarios. The aim is to make the victim feel they have no choice but to obey or agree to avoid the feared outcome. This technique is prevalent in personal relationships, workplaces, marketing, and politics. For example, a partner may use the fear of abandonment to control behavior, or a manager may imply that an employee's job security hinges on compliance with certain demands. In advertising, fear-mongering can convince consumers they need a product to avoid danger or embarrassment. To defend against fear-mongering, it's crucial to recognize when fear is being used to manipulate. This may involve questioning the validity of presented threats, objectively evaluating options, and seeking advice or alternative viewpoints. Maintaining composure and avoiding impulsive decisions under fear's influence is important, as is building self-esteem and support networks to reduce vulnerability to fear-based manipulation. Establishing clear boundaries and understanding one's rights can help resist manipulative attempts that exploit fear. Additionally, learning coping mechanisms and resilience can help manage fear in a healthy and assertive manner, reducing the impact of manipulative tactics on emotions and decisions. Number 11. Scapegoating. Scapegoating is a manipulative tactic where the manipulator tries to shift blame for their mistakes, failures, or behaviors onto the victim. This tactic aims to make the victim feel guilty, even when they are not at fault, leading them to doubt themselves, apologize excessively, and sometimes take on responsibilities that are not theirs. Manipulators use scapegoating to deflect attention from their own inappropriate actions, maintaining control and avoiding accountability by making the victim feel responsible for negative outcomes or situations. This can allow the manipulator to maintain power and influence, while weakening the victim's self-esteem and assertiveness. Scapegoating can be observed in various settings, including abusive relationships, workplaces, or dysfunctional family dynamics. For example, in a relationship, a manipulative partner might blame their jealousy or irrational behavior on the victim, claiming that the victim's actions provoke such reactions. At work, a colleague or superior might attribute a project's failure to the victim, even if the responsibility lies elsewhere or is shared. To defend against scapegoating, it's crucial to maintain a clear sense of reality and not accept blame for things beyond one's control or clearly someone else's responsibility. Strengthening self-awareness and self-esteem can help recognize and reject unfair blame. Keeping records of events and conversations can be useful for contesting false accusations and maintaining an objective perspective. Additionally, establishing clear boundaries with the manipulator and communicating assertively that blame shifting is unacceptable are important steps. Seeking support from friends, family, or professionals can provide validation and additional perspective, helping the victim break free from the cycle of guilt imposed by the manipulator. Number 12. Insincere flattery. Insincere flattery is a manipulation technique where the manipulator uses fake compliments to influence and control the victim. This tactic is employed to gain the victim's trust, lower their defenses, or make them feel obligated. Insincere flattery is often used to soften someone before making a request or to distract them from ulterior motives. Skilled manipulators use compliments to create a positive atmosphere and a false sense of security. When a person feels praised or valued, they are more likely to want to reciprocate or maintain that positive feeling, making them more susceptible to influence. The compliments can target the victim's appearance, intelligence, abilities, or any other attribute. However, insincere flattery differs from genuine compliments in its intent. While a sincere compliment is driven by a genuine desire to express admiration or appreciation without expecting anything in return, insincere flattery aims to manipulate or extract something from the recipient. The manipulator may not believe what they are saying but understands that positive words can be a potent tool for controlling or influencing someone's behavior. To guard against insincere flattery, it's important to develop the ability to discern the sincerity of compliments. Observing the pattern of behavior of the flatterer, the context in which the compliments are given, and the consistency between their words and actions can help determine whether the compliments are genuine. Additionally, maintaining healthy self-esteem and not relying on external validation can help one accept compliments without being overly influenced by them. Number 13. Exploitation. This is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator portrays themselves as a victim of unjust circumstances, other individuals, or events outside their control. This approach is employed to garner sympathy, evade accountability for their actions, and sway others' behavior in their favor by depicting themselves as victims. Manipulators aim to elicit compassion and prompt others to make concessions, offer assistance, or adjust their expectations and behaviors toward the manipulator. This type of manipulation can be highly effective because it taps into the innate human instinct to aid and safeguard those who are suffering or disadvantaged. However, Rather than being a genuine expression of distress, exploitation is calculated to achieve specific objectives, such as diverting attention from inappropriate behaviors, controlling those around them, or gaining resources and advantages. Furthermore, exploitation can be used to reverse the roles of wrongdoer and victim, particularly after the manipulator has erred or harmed someone. By presenting themselves as the true victim, the manipulator endeavors to evade the consequences of their actions and may even prompt the actual victim to feel guilty and apologize. To guard against manipulation through exploitation, it is crucial to maintain a balance between empathy and objectivity. Recognizing when someone is genuinely experiencing difficulties is important, but it is equally vital to critically evaluate the situation, particularly if patterns of exploitation start to surface. Establishing clear boundaries and maintaining a balanced perspective on the responsibilities and actions of each party involved can be beneficial. Number 14, deliberate silence. The use of deliberate silence refers to the purposeful act of remaining silent or refusing to communicate as a means to exert power, control, or punishment over someone. This form of manipulation, also known as the silent treatment, can be highly detrimental as it disregards the victim's emotional expression and fosters an atmosphere of uncertainty, anxiety, and isolation. In this tactic, the manipulator chooses not to respond to attempts at communication, ignoring messages, calls, or direct efforts to engage in dialogue. This behavior can leave the victim feeling dismissed, insecure, and desperate for closure or clarification. The manipulator's objective is to compel the victim to question their own conduct, emotions, and value, leading them to accept blame for the silence and often make concessions or apologies even when they are not at fault. Silence can serve as a potent tool because it capitalizes on the innate human need for communication and validation. Without feedback or communication, the recipient may feel undervalued and unseen, significantly impacting their self-esteem and emotional well-being. To address deliberate silence, it is important for the victim to recognize that this behavior is a form of emotional manipulation and does not reflect their worth or culpability. Maintaining personal integrity, seeking external support, and clearly expressing one's feelings without pleading for attention are crucial steps. Additionally, establishing firm boundaries and, if necessary, reassessing the value and viability of the relationship with the manipulator are essential for safeguarding one's emotional well-being. Remember, the practice of justice is a fundamental lesson in Stoicism. This entails treating others with fairness and impartiality while ensuring that we do not permit others to exploit our compassion or empathy. Lastly, Stoicism teaches us to pursue wisdom and truth, which entails gaining a deep understanding of situations and people's motivations, avoiding rash judgments based on emotions. If you watched up to this point, please leave a comment writing "Armored Wisdom" so we will know that you followed the video up to here. Also, I would like to hear your opinion. In your view, what could be tactic number 15? I await your response. See you soon.